right, Coach. 2 games in. You got another week out. Let's talk about this what transpired over the weekend for folks that living on a rock that don't know what's going on.
Well, I tell you what, HBU, we got our first win. And I tell you what, when you're starting a program, you can make a lot of progress. You can improve from game 1 to game 2. But there's a hurdle to doing enough right things to win a ball game that is a significant step in your program. And our players, I tell you what, I thought we played a phenomenal second half. It wasn't flawless, but it was extremely good, to a point where, you shut opponent out and you score almost every series the second half. And, to have almost 700 yards offense and to hold a team to, 250 thereabouts for the game. I mean, I think some of the numbers that substantiate some of the efforts, I think we have some areas that certainly we need to continue to improve. In the first half, we made some mistakes that are consistent with a growing, developing team. But I tell you what, we will take the growing and development, but we're going to get dang excited about a win. And I tell you what, that was a great Saturday for this program.
Everybody's the only thing that I remember that was that's going to stay with me is the first week in game against Sam Houston. You only had the offensive line only gave up 1 sack, and it was a possession. Other than that, they played well. Talk about what they did in the second half of this past weekend against Wayland Baptist that made all of that work.
Well, I think just to rewind real quick, I think you look at that game against Sam. Obviously, we feel like it would be a much different game if you play again that game in November, when we've had a chance to refine a lot of our systems and to teach and to create habits of consistency. But it was still the best thing for our program to face a team that was already playing at a very high level, to take a lot of young guys that was their first opportunity to knock on that door. And even though we kind of get bipped in the mouth a little bit, internally from the inside out, we grew up a whole lot. And what happens is it toughens you up. It makes you stand and put your face in the fan and sit there and make a decision whether I want to compete or whether I want to lay down. And our guys compete against Sam. Even though the score's lopsided, we'll narrow that gap in the days ahead. But our guys competed. Fast forward to this past week, you go into the game halftime tied up, and you come out and completely dominate the second half. Would we have been able to show some of the competitive toughness and the will to win without having to kind of put your face in the fan the week before? So I think that's just one little element about when guys have been there and they've had to step up and compete time after time again, it gets easier down the road to sit there and say, you know what, this game's not over with. We have a whole half to play. We have a whole quarter left to play. We have 1 series left to play that can make a difference in winning and losing. And you begin to put yourself in a position where you expect to win ball games. And at that game at halftime, there was no doubt our kids, you can see in their eyes, they knew they were going to win the ball game. Just how it was going to happen, I don't know. But it was a great feeling, and you could draw some real confidence as a coach and your players from that.
Talk about the guys that had positive effect competitive-wise this past weekend at Wayland Baptist.
Well, I think Kadarius Baker. I think here you have a guy that completed 75% of his passes for 260 some odd yards, and no turnovers and a couple touchdowns. I think for your first complete game as a freshman, I thought it was a good, solid game. And the great thing about it, he can get a lot better. But I thought Kadarius played very poised, very steady, very consistent, and was a good leader. We had very few mental mistakes, very few administrative penalties, offsides, illegal procedures. We did a good job of just controlling some of those discipline things that that you want to see that improvement from week 1 to week 2. Kadarius was a difference maker. We really felt like we played as a whole unit. We communicated better up front. I really felt like on the back end, once again, B.J. Kelly and Craig Bell really proved their value as running backs in our program. But we also saw Tanner Peavy, Larry Day, and Jackie Robinson. We feel like just the love of having 5 backs in your program that can all do things well was a big difference in that ball game. I thought our conditioning was really, really good. And I think anytime that you separate yourself from an opponent in the fourth quarter, particularly after you've traveled as far as we have, up in the Panhandle, and to go up there and be a stronger football team than your opponent in the second half. That goes back to that weight room. It goes back to what you do on this field to be a conditioned athlete. And listen, we pushed our kids hard. I don't know, I don't want to kind of make these guys think that they're like the Junction Boys or anything. I don't think that we're in that category. But I'm here to tell you, we've given our kids a chance to either be tough and to give up, or to give in, or to press on. And hey, when you win games in the second half like that, I think it's a pretty good indication that the kids are willing to work hard.
Defense takes you to the next level. Second half pretty much did that for you all this past weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I think, holding a team to 30 yards in the second half and 1 first down, I think it's pretty awesome. First half we had a couple mental busts in coverage. They gave up a couple big pass plays that, probably as a coach, I didn't necessarily think that we would do that. I thought we had kind of overcome some of the things, but it shows that sometimes with being young, that consistency bug is a thing. Even when you sit in the practice field, we may play 4 great snaps of defense and then have a big play on 5th snap. We've got to eliminate those kinds of mistakes. I'm confident that we will. It's just that we need to do it at an accelerated pace, because as we keep on playing, this season out, certainly there are teams that are going to make us pay a price if we don't continue to improve.
And lastly, the next game is the next game.
Next game, Oklahoma Baptist, they're a new program also like us, and really been impressed with their athletes. Really athletic. They got a transfer tailback from SMU. It's a really dynamic runner, and they do a good job coaching. They're well coached, and they've made great progress as an early program. So I think this is a good opponent for us, and I hope we'll be a good opponent for them. I hope it'll be a great ball game. But as much as we're playing another opponent, I think right now in this program where we're at right now, we are trying to develop a mindset that no matter who we play, that our job is to go out there and every snap win that snap. And you do that, the score takes care of itself. So we're excited. Open date like this week, we tried to beat them up a little bit, get them a little bit tougher, work on fundamentals, and they're tired dogs right now, but old dogs, they'll bark loud next week.
All right, Coach. With that, we'll close this out. Reintroduce yourself, please, sir.
Hey, I'm Vic Shealy. I'm head football coach here at HBU, and dogs up.
This is Jerry Lee Woodley Jr. with another College Sports Report.